Never stop.
I have the hard copy today.
Ooh.
I
You
got
devil, you.
I got this for $1 at
Oh,
Arcane Comics and More.
good deal. And more.
And more. They have a lot more. I haven't been up there for 3 weeks.
Oof. Larry, they probably thought you were dead or something.
I know.
They call him the cops. Where's Larry? He's been missing.
Yeah, they
Put out
have.
an APB.
Yeah. Hi, and welcome to Seattle's #1 comic book podcast, the podcast that is dedicated to the first issue, hopefully, of your next favorite comic. I'm Larry.
I'm James.
And each week we get together, we choose and read a comic, and this week we chose and read Proof. And this is episode 61. Proof is written by Alexander Grecian, with art and colors by Riley Rossmo, and additional colors by Tyler Jenkins.
Yeah, there's a lot of colors in this one.
Lots of color. I got, like I said before off camera, I have the physical copy, and it's a pretty thick comic. What was it? I think this was 40 pages.
Yeah, it was a longer one for sure.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you because I didn't look at the digital copy, so I'm hoping that our copies match up. I kind of remember when I read this, I was like, it's a day in the life of. Well, we'll get into it, but first let's talk about something that came out.
Recent Indecents, Larry?
Let's talk about something that
me?
came out recent. And
Now, Larry's been talking about the whole Comixology has been changing up the Recent Indecent game because it's no longer the weekly updates, but when you're on Comixology, there's new comics every day.
That's exactly right.
Larry's been scrambling every day. He's like, oh my goodness, another thing to read.
Well, this one was not hard for me to find. I was absolutely thrilled when I saw this in the previews several months ago, because 3 issues of this came out in 2015, and just like last week's Recent Indecent, which I forgot already. Just like Loose Ends. Loose Ends also came out several years, like the final issue came out several years after the first 3 issues. And that's what's happening here in something called The Dying and the Dead. This was written by Jonathan Hickman with art by Ryan Bodenheim. And it was published.
Have we read anything by Jonathan Hickman before? I recognize
yes,
that
we
name.
have. Manhattan Projects.
Oh, there you go. That was one of my top.
Yeah, that was one of my. I think that was in my top 3 too. Definitely in my sci-fi. Oh
yeah.
So Jonathan Hickman is a super busy guy with Marvel. Just Marvel comics. He does a lot of event stuff and a lot of the big name comic stuff, and he let this one simmer, but it came to a perfect place with this issue 4, which ends the first arc.
Oh, you mean he was holding off on the arc for 2 years?
Yes.
Oh, that's quite a hook, Larry.
It was. So you would not. So the premise of the story is, it's a little fantasy. It's definitely fantasy, but it's the greatest generation. So World War II vets. There's a mysterious wedding that gets crashed by some really heinous bad guys, and for whatever reason that ties into a missing relic.
Okay.
And then this relic is somebody needs to find this relic, so they bring back.
Is it like a magical relic?
It's a spear, if I recall.
Okay.
And
taken from a mummy's tomb or something like that?
I have no idea about the particulars of the relic, but they need to bring back the A-Team from so they get this.
Wait, you mean like Mr. T?
Not Mr. T, but Mr. T's stand-in. So there's
his grandfather.
There's 5 of these guys, and one of these guys, the leader of this guy, has a dying wife who's dying of cancer, and this person who presents this task for this guy says, we can fix your wife, we can cure her cancer. Oh. And that's the hook that's kept
with
me.
With a spear?
I don't know what the particulars are. It's magic. That's
the hook, I guess.
It's very hooky, and when you see the colors and the art, it is amazing. It's a very realistic style. The faces are gray and withered. There's a splash page of this. This isn't in the. This is in the first issue, so I'm going back a ways in the first issue. Mm-hmm.
But it's emblematic.
Yeah. So this most recent issue has the team back together, heading for the adventure scene.
All right.
And it is so delicious to look at. I mean, like, it is just candy for the eyes. So Recent and Decent, it's called The Dying and the Dead. It's from Image.
It's a great title. All right, so are we ready to dive into proof here?
You bet.
All right, let's do it. Another great title. I really like proof as a title. If you believe in monsters, you need proof.
And Ginger Brown, she believes in monsters, like right out the gate. I thought her character's the best.
Yeah, she kind of reminded me of like a Will Smith in Men in Black type character.
Oh, it doesn't take her much though, does it?
Yeah, because it starts up. Well, it starts off with like a flash forward, and then we cut to her character. So I almost kind of want to start partway in the middle where we were introduced to her. But it does start with a really great action scene with kind of a twist. So maybe we'll start with that. We start like there's like some people, they're looking for some kind of monster of some kind.
No, and then no, they're not looking for a monster. They're on a nature walk taking photographs. I don't think they're looking for monsters. They have a map. They're like we later find out that they were just shooting pictures of bees, flowers, and birds.
Oh, actually, yeah. Well, you're totally right. As I'm reading through it, because I was just a little tricked because there's like this. It's like a narrator type thing talking about cryptids or cryptoids, about like the definition of like a animal is called a cryptid if there's no physical evidence of it, despite multiple sightings. Yeah. And so I guess maybe I'd conflated that, but now you point that out, they're just wrong place, wrong time.
Right, and so this couple's on a nature hike. But but let's dive into it a little bit more, James. Like, what is proof? I mean, we have like, what's the story of proof? Okay,
so we kind of get the reveal of that is really well set up, because it starts off, we see this like Bigfoot type character, and it looks like he's cornered. Like the military's after him, they're shooting him, he's running away. It's solid action. It's got the pow pows and the zing paps and the helicopter sounds, and you see him running away, but he breaks through the net, which is a like kind of solid, action thing. And in the background, like the narrator's kind of talking about like, Sasquatch is most commonly found in Washington, and Hawaii is the only state that, he's never been seen before. But he ends up getting caught, and you're like, oh wow, this is big news. But the twist is, it's that he's not getting shot with guns, he's getting shot with paintballs, and it's like a practice mission, or like
it's a field exercise.
Field exercise, that's the term I'm looking for.
And the cryptoids that James mentions are pretty funny, because each one of these cryptoids are just little factoids about like James said, like where you would find a Bigfoot, where would you find these different types of characters, these different types of, and then one of the cryptoids is paintballs are gelatinous capsules filled with colorful, non-permanent liquid, and they shoot them in the face with one.
Yeah,
it's a comedy, haha.
Yeah, it is, but it's not. It's informative too. Like it provides a little bit of like backstory to it. What did you think about this action? Because I'm a little conflicted about how much I like it.
Yeah, it worked. He Proof, after we meet him in the next couple panels, is such a likable character.
Yeah.
And when you see him with his hands up and you got me, and then somebody takes a cheap shot at him, shoots him in the face, I said, you got me. He's a sport. He's a good sport.
Yeah.
But the action...
He's a good sport. That's the way to put it. Yeah.
The action,
what do you say, Larry?
Yeah, the action does look, like you said, pretty solid. I mean, he's running. He's getting shot at. Helicopters are up in the trees. And there are lots of people. There's 15 guys up in the tree line looking for him. So it looks serious enough that, I mean, it looks like...
It definitely it pulls off the trick, but I guess I'm more talking about like the art of the action.
Well, I can't poo-poo this art. I like it a lot. It does its job, and
I think it does its job, but like I feel like it could have done more. Like when he's tearing through the net that he's captured in, it's just kind of like a regular panel. Like I think it could have been a great like splash page or something like that.
Right, a little more detail on just like, I mean, he's monstrous. I mean, what did they think?
And I think he's drawn really well, and like he's got like the 6-pack, but it's not like overdone, and his hair is appropriate, and his face is kind of masked, but like the art isn't like super detailed, It's pretty.
It's loose. It's very loose.
It's loose, and so like a lot of that like. I don't know. Sometimes when there's not enough detail, it's either it can be like really good impressionist style, or it can be like I kind of get lost in what's going on, or it's not like I don't know. I guess I'm maybe zeroing in on the scene where he's tearing through the net, and I can just imagine like a Marvel scene where someone does that, like an Incredible Hulk doing that, and it being a whole splash page and like being my favorite page, and instead here it's just like a simple panel.
Right, it's a little too small. He breaks through it too easily too. I think the comedy elements are very well done though. I mean the splash.
No, I agree.
The splash to the face and the look on his face after the splash. It's pretty funny. But
no, that is well done. You're right. That has enough detail for me that you can understand it plays the comedy just like you were saying.
And then like you get the breakdown of how these people interact with one another, and they treat this Sasquatch who talks, and we later find out that his name is Proof. It's short for Profoc or something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
And he's having a back and forth with one of his partner with one of the guys in the locker room. They have a locker room.
Yeah, exactly.
And
he's putting on a shirt and then suspenders and whatnot. And he's making fun of the boss's sweater or whatnot.
It's funny.
It is funny. And
then so they're in what looks like a giant old lodge. Again, the art could be a little tighter here. You're right. It is. It's a loose style. It's very loose style. And then we meet. So the back and forth to that is this character, these characters all work.
You need a new partner.
Well, they all work for not the FBI, but a certain branch of the FBI that finds and protects these anomalies, these Sasquatch, these
Chupacabra, Loch Ness Monster type characters. But as they're going through this back and forth, it's almost like the classic, like, you need to take on this rookie as your new partner. Like you see it in a lot of cop movies, and it's a great way to like, the reader learns vicariously